Hi everyone, this is Karak from ACG, and today I'm puzzled, perplexed, and maybe a bit perturbed as I bring you the review for Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders. This is the story of you, a detective, going out to find out who killed the Sesame Street gang after finding out Big Bird was just a dealer who really liked teaching kids the alphabet. Of course that's not what it is. Instead, this detective simulator has you traversing the world as the Detective Poirot. And you're not whisking women into tawdry daydreams with your walrus mustache or stunning men with your wit and fighting skills. No, instead basically you detectivate and you have a sarcastic wit and desire to get up all in the face of most of those you meet. And in the end, it really doesn't endear you to many people within the title. It's about half Sherlock Holmes, half Chihuahua Simulator. You use a detective system not unlike the amazing Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment title, and the ABC Murders really just asks a whodunit, where did they done it, and how did they done it. Let's see how it does, shall we? If you like the video, maybe subscribe. As always, graphics are up first. In the height-restricted world of Poirot, it's all cel-shaded, and it's sort of a mess. It's no Escape from Dead Island, but let's be honest, no two games like that could exist in one universe without breaking the law of physics, but it's not good either. You can switch between two levels of detail, high and, well, low, or basically jaggy and a little less jaggy. This is most likely due to the level of cel shading used, which seems aggressively aliased without any really good blurring effect on the edges to smooth it out. So as you're walking around town, you look like a human razor blade, ready to cut the shit out of anyone you get up close to. Now, sadly, the animations are just okay, and for many locations they're stilted, and moving from spot to spot or location to location can be a hilarious affair of watching the actors stumble, move forward, drunkenly pause as if thinking, okay, then they decide to move. No, wait, that's not right. Let's go, and then they run through the door. Now, locations, though, themselves are excellently set up, if a bit drab, and frankly, low when it comes to their impact on the game world. I like the utilitarian look, but Jesus, most places just have like 2 items to interact with and don't really get me started on any kind of interacting. We'll talk about that in the gameplay. I would say somewhat close to the fiction, and it's cool seeing them on screen and interacting and walking around them. But ultimately, it's a bit lean. Sound, music, and voice.
You're foreign, that's for sure, with your accent and your odd way about you.
Over here, it's Hastings and Poirot. You missed the 9 o'clock train?
We took the 10:30. Luckily the service is good to Andover.
So, Chief Inspector, what do we have?
Sound. Sound. The delightful rasp of paper against paper, the heady thump of shoe on creaky wood floorboard, the sound of passerbys on a busy street. Absolutely none of that is here. No, seriously. When sound does pop up, it's actually scratchy and altogether truncated when it comes to its sampling, sounding very artificial at best. Seriously, the only way footsteps sound like this is if we were all walking around with damn socks on the outside of our shoes. I'm not sure if it's sampled from true sounds or just bad Foley work, but it's just not that good. It sounds really, really tight, and in the end, it sounds very artificial. Music. I dug it. Time period and location perfect. The music selection is excellent with a bit of old-style Western piano mixing into amazingly good horn solos during some of the thoughtful moments. The music did more for the game than the graphics or sound did for solidifying the time period at the very least. It's not for everyone, but for those who like this period, it's going to be actually good and you're going to like it. Also, I love the crazy little triangle ditty that plays in some of the tracks. Like someone found a triangle in the back of band room and was like, hey, what the hell is this? And whacked the crap out of it. It fits perfectly, but it was a little bit surprising. Altogether, pretty good music. Voice. Yeah, it's just okay. I wasn't really in love with either one of the main characters, and at times there's an almost at-odds momentum that occurs within Poirot's voice acting, like the timing is just a little bit off. It's good at other times, though, and it's just not great, though. Supporting cast runs the gamut from average to good, depending both on their lines and when they're delivering them, which is another issue with atmosphere that crops its ugly head up in games when voice recordings don't seem to understand the emotional resonance of a particular location or a particular situation. The accents, though, sounded pretty good. Gameplay. Okay, so this thing heavily cribs from Crimes and Punishment, the last Sherlock Holmes game, so if you played that game, well, in many ways, you played this one. The story is that Detective Poirot starts getting mysterious letters that indicate a serial killer's on the loose, and it's his job to find them, because as we know, never in the history of ever has a single police officer or detective been worth more than the weight of gallons of coffee in their sagging-ass bellies. So Poirot goes out and starts investigating the murders that sadly happen before he can usually save anybody. You walk around the levels, discussing tidbits with characters, looking at items, and discovering clues. And I have to say, You know, I enjoy a bit of cruise control in my games, but this detective system is just flat out damn ridiculous. Basically, there's this large vision effect wherever you're near anything of import, and then, even if you're even just remotely near the clue, the game tells you what's up. It's odd to say the least, and turned any location into a hilariously fast clue-a-thon, where I whisked the cursor side to side like I was brushing off the screen, and usually found the 3 to 5 clues within seconds. Now, those clues are then put in your notebook, and during an investigation, the detective can try to drop in the information he has to certain questions he needs answers for, like when was the person killed, and then you can drop in that the last person who saw them said they saw them after 5. Okay, so they were killed after 5. Luckily, some questions that the detective sorts out take more clues than others. In the end, it's the same system we've seen before, but with none of the enjoyment, because you really can't have those branching guesses like we had in Sherlock. It just pretty much is one and done, though you can make mistakes. What I felt ultimately was deft and sleight of hand in Sherlock appears here with all the clumsiness of second base in high school. It's just all hands and bruises until someone says, just do this. I did not enjoy that part of the game. Puzzles, however, were sort of a highlight. Never too hard and sometimes too easy. They skewed on the side of a small amount of thought as well as some intuition, which was the highlight here for me. They weren't amazing, don't get me wrong, and you won't be following albinos through museums Dan Brown style. But they were enjoyable, and at times they actually made me think a little bit about what was going on because they were both cerebral and physical. And that's about it. It's a fairly by-the-numbers style of adventure game, and though the end result is an interesting story, it really does relatively nothing new, though you can get points for acting as you think the detective would in any given situation, which is sort of a mixture between Sherlock Holmes and some kind of shitbird. And unfortunately, in any given situation, many players probably won't even know who this detective is, so they're going to end up playing him like Sherlock Holmes anyway. Here's the thing, a game like this needs to feel like an endorsement both from the original creator but from the characters within it as well. That's why we as gamers seek out fictions that have been transformed into digital forms. Here, I would say that transformation is okay at best. Not great, serviceable, but ultimately probably a bit forgettable as well. Fun factor. You know, despite the autopilot and the crunchy detective moments, I actually enjoyed the game for what it was, a romp through an interesting crime mystery in a time when people were of a different stock and their expectations and traditions were also different as well. Then again, I could have experienced that if they'd had a detective game trying to figure out what had ever happened to that banned flock of seagulls. It was okay, but in the end, it wasn't great. So I rate games on a buy, wait for sale, rent, or never touch it again rating scale. You know, the price for this title actually helps it a lot. It's around $20. For $20, I actually think this is worth a buy. As a secondary game released amongst a couple large titles, this is a good price for a secondary title that actually does have you experience a world that isn't just the same as Sherlock Holmes, though in the way it plays, it sometimes cribs from it. For the price, I think the game is pretty much worth that. As always, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe come to Twitter, follow us there, follow us on Reddit. If you disliked it, thumbs down as always. And remember, peace out, and enjoy your weekends.